Hello and welcome. I am DEJI360. Now, the countdown to the presidential primaries of the two major political parties in the country has effectively begun. Despite the crowded field of aspirants in the two major political parties, only few are considered serious contenders and frontrunners. Let's narrow it down now to the ruling APC today. And the next episode, we'll talk about the main opposition, PDP. Now, in the APC, despite the high cost of its nomination forms, which of course is put at 100 million naira, no less than 20 aspirants are in the running for the party's presidential ticket. But the frontrunners are considered incumbent Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo and his political godfather and the former governor of Lagos State, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, both men have been touring the country lately, canvassing delegates for the primaries. But everyone is waiting to see how the primary will play out between a godfather and his godson. But let's not also forget that the APC has not zoned its presidential ticket to the south, so we cannot rule out the possibility of a dark horse emerging, even when both Tinubu and Osinbajo are considered the frontrunners now for the party's presidential ticket. Let's now discuss this further. I'm now being joined on the program by Dayo Akintobi and Nelson Ekujimi, who are both political affairs analysts. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
Let me start with you, Mr. Akintobi. No question at all. You look at the vice president, you would say he's got the experience. I mean, he's taking part in two national elections now, general elections, presidential elections, 2015 and 2019. How crucial would you say that experience is for him as he goes into the primaries?
Without a doubt, experience is the best teacher, and I think he has a lot going for him. The fact that he has contested two national elections in the recent past and prevailed in both of them. So he's been through the runnings, as we say, and he knows exactly the kind of horse trading, maneuvering, political quid pro quo that is necessary to win the hearts and minds of the people who matter at this point. Now, let's be clear. For the primaries, it is the party delegates, knowing that APC has decided on an indirect primary method, which means that it is the delegates who will decide. Now, what does it take to win the delegates over to your way of thinking? What does it take to win the confidence of the delegate, a typical delegate, to the point that he will line up behind you on the key day that we're talking about? Now, delegates are apportioned by states. There are different levels. You have the ward level, the state level, the national level, but by and large, they come in clusters, state by state, yes, clusters. Exactly. And that's why you see all the front runners, particularly in this case, I want to allude to Vice President Osinbajo, who's been doing a countrywide tour and speaking specifically to the delegates, as opposed to just visiting generally and kind of asking for the general support of the populace. He has focused his attention on actually engaging the delegates directly in each state that he has visited. And what he has done is try to explain to them why they should buy into his vision of Nigeria of tomorrow, the new Nigeria that we want to create.
Now, we know this is a primary, delegate elections, and truth is that this is the first time too that the vice president would actually be running as an aspirant. I mean, in 2015, he was actually not on the ballot, I mean, in the primaries. 2019 too, he was not on the ballot. The president was on the ballot. Do you think now that he's going to be on the ballot, you think he's got that experience to win this? He understands the politicking and all of that now
if you take
to win it?
If you take your mind back to both 2015 and 2019, and you take a bird's eye view of both campaigns, you will recall that the vice president was actually more visible in both campaigns, whether it was in debates, whether it was...
No, I'm not even talking about campaigns now.
No, I understand.
Campaigns would refer to the general elections, but I'm talking about the party primary now.
Don't get it twisted. Even at the delegate level, there is campaigning going on.
Of course.
So that when I use that word campaign, I was talking about campaigning to a specific demographic, which in this case is delegates. And I even though maybe we didn't see it so much in the public as we did in the run-up to the general election, when it came to the issue of politicking for the delegates, the vice president played as much a crucial role in both 2015 and 2019 as did his principal. The same way we saw him on the hustings during the campaigning for the general is the same degree of involvement and activity that he had in the run-up to the primaries when he was interacting with the delegates. Okay. So he does have the experience.
Okay, I'll come back to you. Nelson, let's talk about Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Yes, he's a politician to the core. He's been a politician for a very long time. So when you talk about experience, he's gutted. But this is a man who has never contested a national election before. He's never contested a national election before. We can't deny that. So he's not run for the presidency. Do you think that might work against him?
No, absolutely not. You and I know very well that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu contested the election twice in a mini Nigeria, and that is what Lagos State stands for.
That's Lagos State.
Yes, it's a mini Nigeria. Lagos State is populated by persons from all ethnic and religious inclinations that you want to think about, as well as even members of the international community who are also here listening to and watching us. So Alhaji Ahmed Bola Ahmed Tinubu has cut his teeth in the political terrain, and his teeth is firmly grounded, and I can tell you for free that this is a man that knows all the intricacies that is involving. You talked about the 2015 and 2019 elections. Without a Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the President Muhammadu Buhari presidency would never have seen the light of the day. President Muhammadu Buhari was a candidate who had contested elections on 3 different occasions and lost. And on the 4th attempt, due to the promptings of patriots and nationalists like Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he threw his hat into the ring. He never wanted to come out again. He said he was done with the politics of Nigeria. But because Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu said, look, you are the only one that can rescue us at this point in time, that the country was at the precipice.
But this is a different case now. This time he is running. He is the one on the ballot. I'm talking about the primaries now.
Yes.
And whether we like it or not, he's never taking part in a national primary. Hold on, he's never taking part in a national primary. So this time, it's not just Lagos State that is a constituency. The constituency is the entire country. You understand what I mean? So you have delegates coming from all over the country.
Yes.
So it's a different kettle of fish.
It's a different kettle of fish, actually. But don't forget, in 2015, it was the face of the campaign of the President Muhammadu Buhari's candidature. So telling us because he's now the one that is going to be on the ballot does not change anything. That this is a man that has been in the field. Don't forget, even as at 2015 and 2019, he was the one who was meeting the delegates, especially in 2015. Don't forget that in 2019, it was like a unanimous decision of the party that President Muhammadu Buhari was going to be returned unopposed in the party. But in 2015, you recollect that the frontrunner of the opposition party, the PDP today, was also a contestant in 2015. And it took the political sagacity and the resources and the technicalities of Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu to make sure that President Muhammadu Buhari emerged as the candidate of the APC then. So whether he's the one on the ballot or he's the one who is in the campaign, is like being in the same classroom again. So for him, there's nothing new, and that is why you can see, even before anybody else, he was the first person to signify his intention that look, this is an ambition I've nursed all over the years, and in nursing this ambition, I have built bridges across boards. I've made friends, I've made contacts, and even the masses, and that is why today, among all the aspirants in his party, is a front runner.
All right, okay. I'm going to come to you. One of the issues that a lot of people have, the problems a lot of people have against the vice president, so to speak, not in a negative sense, so to speak, not because they do not like the vice president, but because people feel it's a challenge, and that challenge is that he hasn't got the political structure to be able to win the ticket. How would you respond to that?
Well, what is a political structure at the end of the day? Political structures comprise of people. They comprise of party members, they comprise of party loyalists, they comprise of party elders. And at the end of the day, they also want a better Nigeria the same way we all do. And so once an
funny enough, all the candidates want a better Nigeria.
Without a doubt, but visions differ. How the roadmap to get to that better Nigeria differs from aspirant to aspirant. And the key thing is to be able to sell your vision to the larger proportion of people and get them to buy into your vision based on how you articulate it and the depth and conciseness and relevance of what you aim to do.
But the question is, do you think a vision would matter in this case now, or the political structure? Because this is not a general election. This time you're not dealing with the entire population. You're dealing with party members.
Yes, but let's remember that APC itself has an ideology. APC came into power based on the ideology of progressivism. Progressivism, to me, and I think the average dictionary definition says it is a state of mind that seeks a better condition for the human being, looks for a better condition for the average person. That's what progressivism is all about. APC came into office based on that premise. So that vision is what any aspirant will articulate to win a structure or to create a structure, because anyone who is in the APC of necessity has to be a progressive. You hear Kayode Fayemi talking about it. You hear all the people who came together to form APC. They always lead with it as the major ideological bent of the foundational underpinning of the party. So if you have a person like Professor Yemi Osinbajo, who is talking about everything he stands for is based on how to improve Nigeria and the living conditions and welfare of the average Nigerian. So to me, that in itself is the structure. It doesn't have to involve picking one individual at a time and trying to either win them over through inducement or win them over through fluff and sweet talk. But you put your money where your mouth is in terms of what you intend to do. I don't dispute that as part of building the structure. There has to be some maneuvering, negotiating, some horse trading. Okay, so you bring this block over to us and this is what you will get from it when we get into power. There is political give and take everywhere in the world where democracy is practiced. So there has to be some of that going on without a doubt. But I think the foundational underpinning of any structure has to do with the ideology intertwined with the vision of the individual aspirant.
Now, most people have said, Nelson, the biggest thing that Bola Tinubu has going for him is the structure. That he's got, that over time he's been able to build a very strong structure, not just in Lagos State, but across the country and all of that. But other than political structure, what else do you think could may convince party delegates now to want to vote for him?
Well, I think his political cleverness, if I should put it that way, is a strong factor that is going for him. This is a man, even when his party was in the opposition, he never changed color, he never jumped ship or jumped bus or train. He remained faithful.
But the question is, do you think that is what delegates will be looking at?
Absolutely.
They'll be looking at someone, they'll be looking for someone who can actually deliver, who understands the problems of the country and can actually lead the country in such a way that the country is able to overcome most of the challenges.
I'm sure you know that the delegates are good students of history, just like every other Nigerian. And they know the antecedents of this man. They know what he did while in office for 8 years in Lagos State. You talk about the environmental decadence we had in Lagos when he assumed power, when he took over reins of power from former military administrator Buba Marwa. You know, Lagos became a big heap of refuse. You saw how he dealt with that, and today Lagos is the better for it. You look at the area of power. He was the first person to introduce the independent power project, even though it was scuttled by the federal government there. This man has put his political vision into reality. He's not telling you this is what I want to do. He's telling you, look, this is what I have done. This is my scorecard when I was there. So you can use that to judge me. It's not telling you, oh, I'm going to build skyscraper for you. No. It's telling you, look at the Eco-Atlantic City. Look at how I turned back the environmental threats posed to the life of Lagosians by the Babish, by the Atlantic Ocean Surge. You look at the area of security the man put in place today. You recollect how before Senator Bala Tinubu became the governor of Lagos State, how we had the even and odd number in management of traffic in Lagos State. He bets the Lagos State Transport Management Authority, called LASTMA, whether you want to admit or not, the effect of that agency in managing traffic in Lagos cannot be,
let's. I hear you. Now let's, and I have to ask both of you this, and let me start with you. Is it such a tidy, politically, is it such a tidy situation that you would have both men, gunning for the same? I'm just wondering, because you see this brickbat among supporters of both men online and all of that, and I think it's actually not healthy and all of that. What do you make of the fact that both men are running against each other for a ticket to represent the party in the next presidential election? Is it something because this is something some people will tell you that they never imagined was going to happen, considering how close both of them are?
I actually like competition because I think competition breeds excellence, and I think that the more formidable the candidates are, the easier it is for the electorate to be able to make an informed choice. Now, a lot of politics in Nigeria is based on sentiment. It's based on ethnic considerations, maybe even sometimes religious based preferences. But I think our politics is evolving to a point where people are more open-eyed now and recognize the fact that the decisions they make at the ballot box, the decisions we make at the ballot box have a direct and significant impact on our daily lives. In the past, it used to simply be, for a mess of porridge, you can have my vote. But it's gotten to the point now where people are more analytical and they're more strategic in their thinking, and they're looking at it and saying, okay, who can serve me better? We're beginning to see a correlation between who I voted for in 2019 and the price of rice in the market today. We are starting to see that there's a correlation between the school fees I pay for my child today, or the fact that there's no vaccination or injection in a hospital could have a direct relationship with the choices I made years ago at the ballot box. So I think people are more conscious. And the only way they can exercise that consciousness is if they have a plethora of choices to choose from. So I think actually it is good for our democracy, putting aside the issue of relationship. And I once even propounded a theory that I think is to the pride of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that somebody from his political school of thought has actually aspired, not just aspired, gotten to the second highest office in the land and is aspiring to the top office. I think it's a pride for him. I think it will be in his legacy for forever and ever, however this comes out, that
however it comes out, he loses nothing.
He loses nothing, however it comes out.
Let me get your take on that now. I mean, the fact that both men are running for the same ticket.
Well, well, the truth of the matter is that I'm a Democrat. And we all know that democracy is about people's participation. One of the drawbacks of our democracy is that because of the military intervention over the years, a lot of people were not able to exercise their political aspirations. But today, we are seeing that, our democracy is being deepened. For me, I don't see anything wrong in that. It is now left for the people. And thank God, democracy is not about somebody saying, I will be there. It's about the people deciding your political destiny. So the candidates or the aspirants are now going to the people. And it is the people's choice that will matter.
The delegates.
Yes, the delegates. So for me, I'm home and dry with it.
Now, just before I let both of you go, yes, both men are considered the front runners. But just as I said in my introduction, you can rule out the possibility of a dark horse emerging. I mean, the PDP has just announced that it is throwing its ticket open, and there's a possibility that a candidate from the north would emerge from that party now. Does it give both of you any concern at all that the PDP has decided not to zone, has thrown its ticket open, and that do you think there's a possibility of a dark horse now emerging in the APC?
Without a doubt, it's always a good possibility. But the key thing for me is that
a dark horse from the north.
Yeah, a dark horse from the north. It could be a dark horse could come from anywhere. There could be one from the south as well. But the issue, the larger issue, is that the fact that the opposition has chosen to not zone. First of all, you look at it and you say, based on equity, justice, and fairness, based on a sense of inclusiveness and unity across the country, we've always had this understanding that if the North has it this time, the South will have it the next time. Not because it gives any preponderance of advantage to the place the leader is from. I've not seen any quantifiable, exceedingly...
Obasanjo in the Southwest is a clear example.
We didn't get anything in particular in the Southwest based on Obasanjo's presidency that the rest of the country did not get. But for a sense of inclusion, pride, sectional ego and all that, it is a good thing so that nobody feels marginalized or left out. But once one party has said we're not doing that, we might cry foul and say, when it was your turn, you insisted on doing it. Now that it's not your turn, you want to get unfair advantage. But what it does is just that it makes the competition more keen. Let a dark horse come. At the end of the day, the best man will win. So I think if a dark horse comes, what it does is it makes the existing aspirants tighten up their trousers, work harder, get out there and persuade people. I believe that if you have a compelling vision, and you can articulate it, you can inspire people, you can galvanize their hearts and electrify their minds, not just about what you intend to do, but look at Yemi Osinbajo, who has a track record. Even despite the fact that he has zero constitutional authority, his principal delegated certain responsibilities to him over the last 7 years, in which he has acquitted himself admirably to where the average man on the street says, this man has a potential to be a good president because the little bit he has been tested, just the little bit he has had the opportunity to do, he has done so well that if this man has full power and authority, we know and we believe that he will do extremely well for the country. So I think that the issue of dark horse is not a bad thing. It just means that each individual has to work a lot harder to be able to overcome that undue advantage from a dark horse.
Nelson, let me get your take.
Yes, my take is that unlike the PDP, you and I know the history of the zoning in the PDP. And we all saw how former President Goodluck Jonathan scuttled it. I think maybe they are still having that hangover. But in the APC, you and I recollect that President Muhammadu Buhari, one of the reasons why he went for a second term was to allow the North to exhaust the 2 terms, so that when his tenure comes to an end, somebody from the southern part of the country will assume the reins of leadership, will become the presidential candidate of the party to see. So in this case, I don't even imagine any dark horse emerging from anywhere, because the 2 frontrunners, most especially Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has shown clearly that is the man to beat. So how the dark horse will emerge is left for us to see. But for me, I cannot contemplate it.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the program.
It's been a pleasure.
And thank you. It's been a very lively discussion. Thank you very much, Nelson Akonjimi, for coming on the program. And thank you, Daya Akintobi. Thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you for having
We'll
us.
take a short break now, and we'll be right back. Stay with us. Don't go away. Opinions are free. Facts are sacred. But truth is universal. How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the president of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On DEJI360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, and use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
DEJI360, dissecting the issues.